Pagani is known for some of the fastest, most exotic supercars on the planet. But the man who created Pagani actually started his career at Lamborghini. But when Lamborghini refused to see his vision, he quit his job to start what became one of the most iconic supercar brands ever. So let's dig into the story of Horacio Pagani to see how a simple engineer could team up with F1 drivers, fight the biggest names in the industry, and create a groundbreaking supercar in an era where supercars were all but doomed. I'm Guff, this is Albon, let's get started. By the way, we're giving away $1,000 at the end of the month to a subscriber who comments below. So don't forget to subscribe and drop a comment to win. Carbon fiber, artfully sculpted, gated manual transmissions, 12 cylinders screaming to 7,000 RPM. These were once just ideas, willed into existence by one engineer. An engineer who started life as just a car-crazed kid in the streets of Argentina. Horacio Pagani was the son of Italian immigrants. His father, a simple baker, worked hard to ensure that his family could live comfortably in the agricultural town of Casilda. But Horacio, from a very young age, took interest in something that wasn't very popular in that sleepy little village: cars. At just 12 years old, instead of being outside playing sports with his friends, he was making model cars out of scrap and wood. At the age of 15, he built a makeshift motorcycle that he used to ride around the streets of Casilda. Every chance he got, he was either working on, talking about, or reading something about cars. And of course, the pinnacle of all cars were made in the land of his forefathers, Italy. Ferrari, Lamborghini, Maserati all represented the peak of what a sports car could be. And although Argentina was home, the young Pagani couldn't help but feel pride that the Italians were the leaders in the automotive industry. Eventually, Horacio grew up and went to university in La Plata, and there he was given the tools and the education to continue growing his passion. At just 20 years old, he designed and built his very own Formula 3 car. And it wasn't just a showpiece, it actually raced in the local series in Argentina. That was just the beginning though. By the time he graduated with his mechanical engineering degree, he had developed a custom dune buggy and, perhaps more impressively, a single-seater race car to Formula 2 specification. Every piece on that F2 car was designed and developed by Horacio himself, save for the heart of the car, an engine by Renault. Why is that important? Well, because when Renault saw a scrappy young engineer building race cars with their power plants, they knew they needed to give him a call. And a call turned into an interview, and an interview turned into a job. A job in race car development for Renault's racing program. Horacio Pagani went from making balsa wood model cars to working with a massively funded racing team. And it was all thanks to his constant curiosity, an insatiable urge to constantly improve whatever was in front of him. A trait that would later not only catapult his career forward, but also land him in hot water. But we'll get to that later, after a word from our sponsor, Opera.
I am an automotive meme lord. It's not just a hobby like my mom says, it's my calling. But as of late, my slow browser has been severely limiting my meme output. That is, until I discovered Opera. Opera is the browser of my meme dreams. I can stay focused with the built-in player, which integrates with Spotify and YouTube Music to stream my favorite tunes and podcasts, meme-related of course. I can collaborate with other meme professionals with Opera's built-in messenger. Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, Instagram, the dankness can flow from any faucet. Then using Snapshot, I can easily save an image for later bottom text trifling. But none of that compares to the GIF-fueled greatness that is pinboards. No matter where I am on the internet, if I see a meme I like, I hit the pin. Whether it's a link, photo, or video, it's pinned on my pinboard for easy access. And when the world is ready to experience the dankness, I just share one link, and planet Earth is gifted with another glorious Nissan face swap compilation. Perhaps best of all, though, it's totally free, and available at the link in the description. So hit that link and join me in my quest to fill the internet with car memes that will disappoint your parents. Or maybe just use Opera because it's actually a good web browser. I know which one I'll be doing, though.
Horacio's work at Renault would prove to be one of the most pivotal moments in his career. You see, also connected to Renault was Horacio's soon-to-be mentor, Oreste Berta. And Oreste had friends, famous friends, most notably legendary Argentinian racing driver Juan Manuel Fangio. All three of them came from Argentinian backgrounds, and all three of them shared an unbridled passion for all things cars. So Oreste insisted Fangio meet this new trailblazer in the industry. All the while, Pagani was establishing his footing deep in the Renault ranks. But there was a point where he had climbed that corporate ladder as far as he could, and there was nothing more for him there. And as Juan Manuel Fangio got to know Pagani, he realized that talent like his couldn't be wasted here at Renault. And so he decided to write letters to all the best automotive manufacturers in Italy. He leveraged his long-standing relationships with Ferrari, Lamborghini, and Maserati and told them that they needed this young gun on their team. And this was a dream come true for Horacio Pagani. A true icon of racing was co-signing his work and his skills, and to car makers that he dreamed of working with, no less. Horacio was determined, now more than ever, and with his newfound confidence from Fangio, he bit the bullet and decided to move to Italy in 1982. He hadn't even gotten the job yet, but he knew that with his skills and with Fangio's support, he could do anything. But there was one problem. The automotive industry wasn't exactly booming in the 80s, especially in the supercar business. And although the 80s had the image of investment bankers on questionable substances driving supercars around, the supercar makers themselves weren't exactly growing. And that meant that hiring in the industry was very limited. Horacio had to take odd jobs just to keep the lights on in his new home in Italy. It was a harrowing time for him and his family. He had bet everything on himself, and none of it was a sure thing. But months later, he finally got that phone call from one of the car makers that Fangio had written to, Lamborghini. And Lamborghini offered Pagani a entry-level position in their bodywork department. That meant that he was starting as a low-level grunt, sweeping floors and just lending a helping hand wherever he was needed. And although he was once the hotshot engineer at Renault, he stayed humble, kept his head down, and continually showed how committed he was to his work. And eventually, as time went on, Lamborghini began to give him more freedom. He rose through the ranks, at one point becoming a development engineer, and then eventually the head of the composite materials department. His first big break, the Lamborghini Countach Evoluzione. This was the first Lamborghini ever to be made entirely out of composite materials, using technology that had only ever been seen in aerospace and the highest levels of racing. And now, Pagani could finally flex his engineering skills. This madman took the steel space frame of the Countach and remade it entirely in carbon composites. A strategy that might seem commonplace today, but back then, it was truly unheard of. The entire transmission tunnel, the roof, the floor, the door sills, all of it was one piece of honeycombed Kevlar and carbon material. And in the arms race to manufacture strong but lightweight vehicles, this was truly revolutionary. When it was all said and done, the Evoluzione weighed 1,000 pounds less than the base Countach. But there was a problem, and it was a big problem. Production was just too expensive. Just one little fender bender would result in the entire shell needing to be replaced. Pair that with the fact that composite materials were just too new and too unproven, and you have a financial risk that Lamborghini just didn't want to take. So the Countach Evoluzione died in the name of science, in one last test. A crash test. And the studies from that test proved just as valuable as Pagani's initial research into composite materials. There was now tangible proof in regards to impact resistance and safety of composite materials like carbon fiber. And so Horacio didn't see this as an end. He saw this as a springboard to further develop the tech into a real road car. Or that was his plan, at least. He had approached the Lamborghini execs and told them, look, here's all this data. We need to go and buy an autoclave. An autoclave was a machine that would allow his department to create composite materials at a much larger scale, which would in turn make the R&D more affordable, thus making Lamborghini's pursuit of lightweight materials a reality. It made perfect sense, especially after Pagani put so much time and toil into that Countach Evo. But Lamborghini just didn't see Pagani's vision. Their argument was that if Ferrari isn't building cars with composite materials, then there's no reason that Lamborghini needs to either. The irony of Lamborghini, a company that was founded because they didn't like the cars that Ferrari was making, was now saying that they wouldn't build a car unless Ferrari was doing it first. Ridiculous. And this was the moment that Pagani realized, just like all those years ago at Renault, that his dream was at a dead end at Lamborghini. All those years of wanting to work with the best car makers that the world had to offer, only to be caught in some bureaucratic BS once he got there. It was a crushing realization, but on the other hand, it was proof that there was only one way that he would be able to achieve the things that he knew he was capable of. So Pagani put all his chips together and gambled them, heading directly to the bank to take out a loan. If Lamborghini wasn't gonna give him an autoclave, then he was gonna bet the farm and buy one his dang self. And not just that, he was gonna build everything by himself without the rope around his neck of corporate cowardice. So Horacio quit his job at Lamborghini and opened up shop just down the road. Now it was just him, his ideas, and his muse, a financed autoclave, a constant reminder that now it was sink or swim for Pagani. Horacio called his new venture Modena Designs, and he picked up right where he left off at Lamborghini, mastering carbon fiber. In no time at all, he was producing state-of-the-art composite materials for the entire automotive industry. And he was so ahead of the game that big-name manufacturers were knocking down his door. Renault, Aprilia, Daihatsu all reached out to use Horacio's services. And his most notable customer was none other than the Ferrari Formula One team. It was a dream come true, finally being on the cutting edge of automotive engineering. But Pagani quickly realized what he was doing wasn't enough. He started his automotive journey building his own race cars. And even with how well the composites business was running, he couldn't spend his whole life just making stuff for other people. So after business hours were over and the invoices were filed away, Horacio and his team at Modena Designs started work on a special project, a car of their own. A car as beautiful, lightweight, and capable as any other supercar on the planet, if not better. And in honor of his wonderful friend who helped him find the success that he had, he named the project Fangio F1. The body was to be totally made of carbon composites, sculpted not only to be aerodynamic and strong, but also beautiful. But there was just one roadblock for Project Fangio. Just like that single-seater F2 race car that Horacio developed all those years ago, the idea of making his own engine was unthinkable. Sure, he lived in the same place where the likes of Lamborghini and Ferrari created their own 12-cylinder monsters, but for a small outfit like Pagani's, it was too intricate, too expensive to create their own engine. So once again, he had to look for a donor engine, one that would be a suitable heart for a project of this caliber. Luckily, the project's namesake, Juan Manuel Fangio, had some friends over at Mercedes-Benz, namely the head of development, Dieter Zetsche. But convincing an automotive giant like Mercedes to supply you engines wasn't some easy task. Pagani had a plan though. He brought the Fangio F1 concept to Dieter himself and showed it to him in the flesh, and Dieter was stunned. The concept was truly unlike anything he had ever seen before. A truly remarkable piece of design, especially for a small Italian outfit that nobody had ever heard of. Horacio capitalized on this and asked Dieter for one tiny favor: an engine to power this stunning sports car. And that was that. Mercedes agreed to supply Pagani with the M120 6-liter V12 engine out of the S-Class. And now all the pieces of the puzzle were in Pagani's hands. Until tragedy struck. In 1995, right in the midst of the Fangio F1 development, Juan Manuel Fangio passed away. He was 84 years old and was battling kidney failure for some time, but it was still a huge blow to the racing world and especially to Horacio himself. He found himself struggling to reconcile the development of this new car. His dearest friend and mentor was gone. A friend that had opened up so many doors for him in his career. But even beyond Fangio's death, there had been problems brewing for years now. Pagani was building a supercar, but every year they continued development, the supercar market shrank and shrank. McLaren stopped building the F1, Iso Rivolta had just crashed and burned, Chisetta went belly up, then there was Lamborghini. Lamborghini was still in business and still making cars, but when they heard about what Pagani was making just down the road, they threw him a curveball. Now, Horacio and Lamborghini never burned any bridges. They were still cordial, but the relationship really didn't have much beyond that. But in 1998, Lamborghini approached Horacio with an offer to buy the project from him. The very same company that refused to see his vision just a few years prior. The same company that chose to emulate Ferrari instead of believing in one of their own, now wanted to buy Horacio's beloved Project Fangio. And while the more prideful among us would have laughed in their faces, Horacio Pagani was now fighting a battle in his heart. The money would be life-changing. It would set his family up to live comfortably for the rest of their lives. And with every other boutique supercar manufacturer struggling to stay afloat, this was his way out. A guaranteed win, or at the very least, an escape rope. But on the other hand, he would be giving away something that was so near and dear to his heart. Something that even his mentor Fangio had a role in. But for Horacio, his family was the main thing on his mind, and so he decided to ask them. And ultimately, it was Horacio's young son who swayed the decision. He told his dad to forget the money, forget the easy way out. This car was everything to him. It was the culmination of his life's work. And beyond money, it represented the future that Horacio always believed in for himself, impacting the automotive world with a vision that existed in his mind and his alone. So, he decided to soldier on. The Fangio F1 was going to become a reality come hell or high water. And after even more years of grueling development, Horacio Pagani's project finally made its debut at the 1999 Geneva Auto Show. But out of respect for his mentor, he changed the name. Now, it was the Pagani Zonda C12. And it stopped the automotive world in its tracks. Powered by a naturally aspirated 6-liter Mercedes V12, making around 400 horsepower and 472 pound-feet of torque sent through a manual transmission. And even with that massive 12-cylinder, the Zonda weighed just 2,800 pounds, thanks to, of course, Horacio's genius in composite materials and carbon fiber. It was so impressive that the Zonda made every other supercar manufacturer hit pit lane as soon as they saw it. Horacio and his team at the newly minted Pagani Automobili landed themselves squarely in the big leagues with the Zonda. And now, it was time to grab the supercar world by the horns. Of course, even though the Zonda was received with open arms, they weren't exactly selling them at Honda Civic volume. Over the course of the first model year, Pagani's small facility in Modena made 5 Zonda C12. 1 was for crash testing, 1 was a test car, and just 3 were sent off to lucky customers. And at an MSRP of $280,000, it wasn't exactly in reach for many beyond the wealthiest of car enthusiasts. But for Pagani, it was the perfect springboard for him to continue improving his vision of the ultimate supercar. The very next year, they developed the Zonda C12S. This was largely the same car with a few minor visual tweaks and one major mechanical one. The M120 6-liter V12 was now replaced with the AMG-built M297 7-liter V12, and it was now producing a manic 542 horsepower. And this one was basically mass-produced compared to the last one. 16 examples were made over the next 2 years at an MSRP of $350,000. And by 2002, Horacio could truly sit back and feel like he had done it. He had created his perfect masterpiece on his own terms, and car enthusiasts around the globe loved it as much as he did. But see, that's the thing about perfection. You can always make it more perfecter. And so, perfecter the Zonda became. In 2002, the C12S 7.3-liter variant was introduced, now revving to 7,000 RPM. And along with that came the first Zonda Roadster, the perfect way to cruise the streets of Monaco while listening to that V12 song. But it wasn't all about style for Pagani. This was a sports car through and through. Forged aluminum double wishbone suspension, adjustable inboard Öhlins coilovers, all connected to a lightweight carbon tub. The Zonda was fast, so fast that it broke the Nürburgring lap record with a 7-minute and 44-second time. And that lap record was the feat that sealed Pagani's place in the supercar world. Now there was another family name that lived alongside the likes of Ferrari and Lamborghini. But Pagani himself wasn't content. There was still more to be had from the Zonda platform. So in 2005, he released the Zonda F. The F was for Fangio, and this car was taken up a level in just about every single department. There was a heavy emphasis on aero. The mirrors were relocated for undisturbed airflow. The front and rear splitter were larger for increased downforce. And the air intakes on the front and side were massive to keep that upgraded V12 cool. Upgraded to now make 620 horsepower in a chassis that weighed 2,700 pounds dry. And if you really wanted to take flight, there was now a new Club Sport option that bumped power to 650. The ultimate Zonda, under the badge of the ultimate racing driver in Pagani's eyes. Later in the year, you could get the Zonda F in a roadster trim too. Yet somehow, Horacio Pagani still wasn't content in his creation, because over the next 7 years, new versions of the Zonda came out of the Pagani factory almost regularly. The Zonda Cinque and Zonda R came out in 2009, the R being a all-out, track-focused version of the Zonda, a 740 horsepower car capable of doing 0 to 60 in 2.7 seconds in 2009, and it held a Nürburgring lap record at 6 minutes and 47 seconds, beating out the Ferrari FXX by 11 seconds. The Zonda Cinque was a street-legal version of the R, a little bit softer, a little bit easier to live with, but still absolutely maniacally fast. Every time you thought the Zonda was as fast as it could be, the king of carbon fiber would deliver the world a version that was even more impressive than the last. In 2013, the Zonda Revolution came out, an even crazier Zonda R that now weighed 2,359 pounds and made 791 horsepower, a power to weight that rivals some of the fastest cars ever made. But as it goes, all good things do come to an end. The Zonda was eventually discontinued in 2019.
Well, unless you were Lewis Hamilton.
And Horacio Pagani finally put the project that changed his life to rest. And now it was time to focus on the newest offerings from Pagani. Because here's the thing, when that very first Zonda C12 came out in 1999, it set a new precedent for the supercar world. Across the board, supercar makers were beginning to take composite materials far more seriously after seeing what Pagani was doing with the Zonda. And cars like the Veyron, the Enzo, the Carrera GT, and the McLaren SLR were all proof of Pagani's impact. Horacio was well aware of this. It was the impact that he wanted to make. But of course, he knew he needed to continue pushing that envelope. So back in 2009, when that Zonda R came out, it was far more than just another wild Zonda. It was also to test the waters for an upcoming, more extreme Pagani in the market, the Pagani Huayra. It was released in 2011, and the Huayra made 730 horsepower and 738 pound-feet of torque. Still powered by Mercedes-Benz, but now sporting a 6-liter AMG V12 built specifically for the Huayra itself. And just like the Zonda, it pushed the envelope for its usage of composite materials, gorgeous design, and its tremendous attention to detail. And also like the Zonda, the Huayra went on to see a few transformations in its lifetime. First the Huayra Roadster, then the Huayra BC, then the Huayra Tricolore, then the Huayra Imola, and then of course the Huayra R. And for those who had over $3 million to spend, every Pagani was a rolling piece of art. One that was just as comfortable at the concours as it was on the circuit. Something that Horacio himself made abundantly clear, as he was often spotted driving around his personal cars. And now, as of just this September, we were introduced to Pagani's third act, the Pagani Utopia. And in typical Pagani fashion, it bucks every trend. It's promised to have no batteries, no hybrid power, no dual clutch transmission, no gimmicks. Just a beautiful carbon chassis, an AMG V12 making 852 horsepower and 811 pound-feet of torque, all hooked up to an optional 7-speed manual transmission. It is not a car built by bean counters. It is not a car sullied by regulatory nonsense. It is simply the expression of the mind of one man, Horacio Pagani. And to think that it all came from such humble beginnings. A boy in Argentina with a dream who surrounded himself with other dreamers and took risks for what he believed in, even when those above him pushed him not to. Horacio Pagani, in a time when cars are becoming more and more the same, continues to produce cars that are refreshingly different. Cars that he himself would want to own, to drive, to look at, to admire. Cars that refuse to conform themselves to the mold of what the industry says is best. Cars that inspire the love of all things automotive in enthusiasts young and old. And I, for one, can't wait to see what he comes up with next. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and drop a comment to win the giveaway. And tell us what topics you want us to cover at our Discord server linked below. You can also support us on Patreon and help us keep making awesome car videos for years to come. I'll see you in the next one.